Welcome everybody to today's podcast. I'm super excited to have you here. We also have a very special guest who's joining us today. But essentially, before I dive in and introduce our very special guest, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background to what we're actually going to be talking about today. So in today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about the power of our homes to create change in our lives. That's so true. And our homes can really powerfully influence our identity. Who knew? Well, it's true. Who we are and how we're feeling is very much reflected in our homes and, of course, in how we show up in the world. And so our guest today is Bill Schwingel. Now, Bill, did I pronounce your name correctly there, Bill? Forgive me.
You did. Thank you.
Awesome, right on. So Bill actually is a teacher and a practitioner of instinctive feng shui and space clearing. Bill has over 20 years experience in this field of business. I would say Bill is absolutely the go-to expert in sharing, how we can make those powerful shifts and changes in our lives actually from the comfort of our homes. And I've known Bill for, many number of years, but I first met Bill, I think it was probably a couple of years ago now, Bill, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when we were speaking at a conference in Orlando, the Home for the Soul conference,
Yes.
I do believe. I think that's when we first met. And then I've since met Bill. I think we met again when we were speaking at a conference in California last year, I believe. So Bill and I have known each other a good while, and I'm really excited that he agreed to come on the podcast today, because Bill really is the person to talk to about this particular topic, because, everything in our home is a reflection of who we are. And if we want to make some tweaks and changes in our lives, if we want to shift who we want to be and who we want to become, then a really good place to start is actually in your home. Now, I personally use this in my life and in my business, particularly with my business, because when I need to, step into that fearless place, when I need to kind of up level, in my business, I look to my home to support me in that way. And how I do it is this. I actually, if I'm looking to manifest or attract something into my life, or if I need to shift, who I'm being and how I'm showing up, I'll actually start to cleanse and clutter clear in my home. Sometimes I'll focus in my office, other times in the bedroom, because as you know, I love to do that work in the dream time, and the bedroom's a really powerful place to do this. But what happens for us when we're actually cleansing and clearing, or when I'm cleansing and clearing, I do it with intention, and I use affirmations to support me in that journey. And what I'm saying to the universe is, I'm changing. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready to manifest this in my life, and I'm ready to let go of all this other stuff. And I'm ready to let go of a reflection of that with all the clutter that represents that. So that's why this is so powerful, because we're raising our vibration, but we're also essentially putting that imprint of who we are onto our home. And so every day when I wake up, I look around and think, yeah, that's who I'm becoming. So that's why I feel so excited about this topic, and so excited that Bill is actually going to be talking to us today, because Bill actually is the expert. I mean, I use these tools, but if you want to know more about how to use your home to powerfully influence your life, Bill's the guy to talk to. So welcome, Bill. And if you'd like to maybe share just a little bit about, yourself and how you actually ended up, working in this field.
Absolutely. And first, let me just say thank you for having me. This is such an honor. I really appreciate being able to talk to you, and especially this topic, because as you've said, feng shui really is so empowering. It is a tool that we can use to take control and to make positive, powerful shifts in our lives by really taking a new look or a different perspective on our home. Because our home really does reflect back to us kind of what's going on in our world, and who we want to be and who we're becoming. But in terms of my background, right, so I've been doing this for about 20 years. It started when I was young, actually. When I was a little kid, I started to get a sense for differences in spaces, just how they felt to me. And I didn't know at the time, but really that's about the energy in your space. And when you start to recognize and understand the energy in your space, it really allows you to understand the impact that it has on you. And so, for instance, I didn't know why, but every, say, 3 to 6 months as a kid, I would want to change my room around. And, just because I needed it to feel differently. And when I was a kid, I would travel a lot between the Midwest and the East and in New England, and I would notice just a difference in where I would be staying in those spaces. And so it really started to get me kind of wondering about that. And I'd always been someone who'd been interested in kind of alternative ways of beliefs and things. And so I started doing my research. And, even in high school, I was reading books and trying to understand, all right, what are the things that are going on around us, and how can we better understand them, understand the world around us. And lo and behold, a few years later, I found a book called Sacred Space. And this is a book for any of you who is a Denise Linn fan. You may recognize this is one of her first books that she did in the US that spoke about the idea of the energy in our spaces and feng shui, and ultimately how we can shift and work within that energy. And so from that point on, I was hooked. Right? It just made me realize, hey, there's someone else out there who feels the same way I do about spaces and nature and how we can bring them together to create more balance in our space. And so, long story short, I was fortunate enough to be able to train with Denise and become an interior alignment certified practitioner. And interior alignment is instinctive feng shui and space clearing. And then I also became a teacher. And so instinctive feng shui, what really is that, and how is that different? So instinctive feng shui is really one of the most, I think, empowering approaches to feng shui, because it really does rely on our own intuition, our own instincts, that allows us to say, hey, I have a feeling about my space and I feel that I should change it. And so what instinctive feng shui says is, yes, you should. And you should listen to that inner guidance, and you should listen to that, what's going on inside of you, because there is a reason for that. And so what I help clients to do is understand not just that they do have the power within them to make those changes, but what they mean from a feng shui standpoint, the impact of those kind of nudges and that kind of gut feeling that you have. I need to change a color in this space, or I need to move this in another space, and there's a reason for it. And it's, in essence, your own guidance, your higher self speaking to you, telling you, you know what? If you adjust this, it's going to better support you in your goals, in your aspirations, and your dreams. And so that's one of the things I really appreciate about instinctive feng shui, is that it allows us to trust ourselves as a way to bring in greater change into our lives that support kind of our dreams and aspirations. So I've been doing that, as I mentioned, about 20 years. In addition, I also work in the corporate world, so I've been able to kind of balance those two worlds from a kind of a spiritual and feng shui aspect, as well as kind of this business, very corporate environment. And it's been one that's allowed me to continue to grow in kind of what I do and how I service clients and how I interact with the world. So that's a little bit of my story. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight.
That is awesome. I love it, Bill. And I love the fact that, it goes back to, it was something that you intuitively felt as a child, and that you were able to kind of, circle back and bring that, more into, how you're living your life now, that it's really a big part of the work that you're doing, because I think oftentimes, we have these dreams as kids, or we have these abilities, and to be able to actually, live that now is pretty awesome. So that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. And also, because I think, I know maybe for our listeners that, for those of you that are listening, I struggled to pronounce feng shui. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about, feng shui and then instinctive feng shui, because the sense that I have is that feng shui is sort of like that ancient practice, but the instinctive part is that blending of using those ancient tools, but actually kind of merging that with your own intuition, the spirit that's guiding you or pointing you to do different things. Would that be about right? Would you say?
That's actually very, very well said. So for those who aren't familiar with feng shui, what feng shui is about is creating balance in your home, and it's tapping into the energy in your space. And if you want kind of a guide for how it should flow, think of what feng shui is translated as. It is wind, and water. And we think about the idea of how those aspects of nature really work within, around us and how they flow, that gives you a sense for how you want to make sure that the energy in your space flows. Because as we're able to direct the energy in our space, we're able to then tap into the support that it offers. So the energy in our space, or chi, is something that is in all things. It is in us. It is in the world around us. And so when we think about the fact that that energy is surrounding us and that we have an impact on that energy, we can actually block the flow of that energy, or we can allow it to flow freely in a way that really supports us. It is a bit empowering to recognize, oh, wait, I can actually shift the energy in my space to support what I want in my life. So the reason why that's important to understand is because in feng shui, our home is a template for our life. And what I mean by that is there's a tool called the bagua, which is an energetic map. Think of it as a map that you can put over the layout of your home. And in that map, has a direct correlation to several different aspects of our lives. So for instance, abundance, relationships, career, those are just a few, but there are 9 base aspects that are connected within our home. And so if we are able to shift the energy in our home to flow to those spaces in our home, it allows us to then get the support that we need for our dreams and our aspirations. And Louise, you mentioned something really important, which is intention. And so when we combine this Bagua tool, the map, and our intention and our ability to increase or improve the flow of energy in our home, that's a powerful combination to create what I consider beacons for our dreams and aspirations. So for instance, if you're looking to add greater abundance into your life, however you define that, it could be, greater financial stability, it could be the ability to have this great freedom to do what you want, but however you define that, you want to increase that. So you can go to a place within your home that is designated as the abundance space, and you can put enhancements there that are fueled by your intention. So when you're clear on what you want, so if you're clear on what abundance means to you and clear on what you want to bring more of into your life, you can use a feng shui enhancement or cure to place in that space to really become a beacon for your intention and attract more of that energy. And the energy that you are flowing into that space is going to build on that and create greater support so that you can take action to really achieve your dreams and your goals. So that's a little bit of an overview of how feng shui works. Now, there are several different schools of feng shui. There are the ancient kind of original schools that were in China many thousands of years ago, and those are really the form and the compass schools. And those are based on the idea that we have these landforms around us that support us, so mountains behind us, on either side of us, a broad expansive view in front of us, all of those kind of natural kind of landscape aspects. And so when you think about that, when you think about in ancient China, how they were using that as a way to site their homes to give them more support, that's a great way to create kind of the security that you might want in your life. And as you go to northern China, where there isn't as much of that kind of landscape options, it's much more flat, they were really focused more on the power of the different directions and the energy that they could bring and support within feng shui. So that was the compass school. And over time, we have found that there are various different schools that have come about from that. And one of the other schools is Black Sect. And that is different from, say, compass or form in the way in which you position the bagua and you position it by the entry to the home. And there's a lot of details here, right? So instinctive feng shui really takes the best of all of them. And instinctive feng shui recognizes that while we are able to understand where in our home different aspects are, using in essence a simplified way in which to approach the bagua, which is based on the entry to your home, it also then allows you to recognize, but wait a minute, where am I guided? Where am I drawn to? What space in my home am I most drawn to, and why is that? And so it taps into those instincts so that it's not just about positioning something because it's in the abundance space, or positioning something because it's in the career space. It's about recognizing that I want to work in this space. And then it's about recognizing, well, what space is that? Is that perhaps my family space? And if so, then it's about digging deeper and recognizing I have a gut kind of feeling and instinct and intuition to work in this space. Why is that? What is it about the family aspect of my life that I really feel there needs to be a shift or a change in? Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's not as clear. So you need that kind of that nudge to help you understand that kind of intuitive push. So that's where instinctive feng shui really is so powerful, because it really does tap into what is unique to you, and it's going to allow you to create solutions in your home that tie into what are most important to you and what you most resonate with. So for instance, in traditional feng shui, Chinese coin is used as a way to represent abundance, and often that would be used in the abundance space. But for you, you may not have a connection with that. So for you, you may find that what resonates more with you is, say, gold, right? That just the color gold. And because for you, gold represents kind of this sense of abundance and this wealth, right? So you could use that color as a way to enhance a space by using that as accent colors, or use it as, perhaps you have, gold jewelry in your bedroom that represents for you kind of the abundance that you want to bring into your life. So there are a lot of different ways to do it, but it allows you to tailor and make it very specific for what you are looking for in your life. Does that help?
Yeah, no, totally. I love it. And there's a couple of things that kind of like, I feel that, we could go, deeper into. Like I'm really curious because I know myself, like, it can feel a little overwhelming, because your home's a big space. And I've been clutter clearing for years, and it's taken me a long time to kind of let go of stuff, because there's some stuff has had a lot of emotional attachments to, but that's a whole other, piece of this. But I'm wondering, for somebody who's new to this and, wants to make some quick, instant changes or shifts in their space, just to, maybe they just want to lift their spirits, for example, would you be able to give them some, quick tips that you could use to do that?
Sure, absolutely. So if you're feeling stuck, right? If you're feeling like, especially now in these times, just feeling like you're not able to move forward, you're not able to kind of get out of bed sometimes, right? Because it's just been the same thing over and over, or you don't feel like you have the freedom you used to have. The first thing I would suggest you do is just look around your home and find the clutter. The reason being is that clutter is one of those things that traps the energy or the chi in your house. And if the energy in your house is not able to move and shift, that's going to have an effect on you. And you will find that as you shift and move that clutter, you are able to feel lighter, and you're going to have doors opening for you. And so one thing to keep in mind when you think about clutter, it's not just about kind of the boxes that are in storage that you haven't looked at in forever long, or the one room that is full of things that just, you can't even think about. Think about clutter as things that do not lift you, do not bring you joy in your home. So that can be, yes, it can be the clutter, and it could be the piles of paper on your desk. But if there are things in your home that when you look at them, they bring your energy down, and that may be because the association you have with that thing is tied to a person you no longer have a positive association with, or a memory that no longer serves you, or it's just out because it seems to kind of fit with kind of the style, but you don't really like it, but it sort of works. You really want to make sure that you take that into consideration and shift and adjust it. If it's something that you don't love, then it's time to consider removing it. And it may be moving it to another space in the home. You don't need to necessarily get rid of it, but it may be just a time to move it from that space, because as we've said, feng shui is about different spaces are tied to different aspects of your life. So one thing in one space that isn't supporting your abundance may actually be very helpful for you as it's in your relationship space, right? So those sorts of things. So that's one thing. I would definitely say take a look around and see if you can kind of remove and clutter clear. That's very powerful. The other thing I would suggest you do is take a look at your front door, because the front door is considered the mouth of chi. And if you're able to walk up to your front door and feel like it is a place of welcoming. It is something that you're drawn to. So that means that, say, the door doesn't need to be repaired, like the paint isn't peeling off, or that means that it opens and closes easily, or that means that it's easy to see the front door, right? If you have things that are blocking your ability to actually see the front door, that makes it difficult for the chi to enter into your space. And as the front door is the mouth of chi, which is where, in essence, all the energy is coming into your home. That's the best place for it to come in and then fill your space. So if, as you're walking into your front door, you're, instead of seeing the front door, you're seeing, oh, I need to do all this weeding over here because, I just haven't had a chance to do that. Or, and I see that there's there's some broken kind of lamps that I need to fix. So it's not just the light bulb, but there's a little glass piece that needs to be fixed. Or if there is, if it's difficult, if you're tripping over things like a hose or something else on the way to the front door, clear that out. Allow yourself to give yourself the opportunity to take as much of the chi, the opportunity for you to enhance the chi in your space by making sure it's very easy to go to your front door. And as you're walking to your front door, it is something that makes you feel very good, makes you kind of uplifted. It's a welcoming space. So those are a couple things, and I can go on and on and on, but
Love
let
it.
me know if there's more.
That's amazing. And I think those are really two really powerful things that you can instantly use, because I know I'm guilty of this. Even just yesterday, I've been stepping over some stuff and I'm like, okay, I've got to deal with it. And it's amazing how when you just take care of those things that you've been maybe stepping over or brushing to one side or stashing away, whatever it is, when you actually start to deal with that stuff, there's two things I think that happen. Number one, you feel really good, and you can actually feel like as you step into your home, you feel different, like you feel lighter. But number two, I think it gives you that sense of control again, that you're taking care of business, because I think sometimes those things that we don't take care of and that we keep, someday, one day, whatever it is, even the small things, right? Like even that pile of newspapers, when we start to take care of stuff, we just feel more empowered. So I really love that as to use those as quick and instant strategies. And the other thing that I wanted to share actually, and this is something that's really helped me, and it may resonate for some of the listeners. Full disclosure here, I'm kind of letting you know that like not that long ago, I used to get a bit resentful about tidying up. I didn't like it. Like, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why do I have to, clean up or whatever it is? I've got better things to do. But what I discovered was that as I shifted my focus and intention in that tidying up, even if it's just doing dishes, I use affirmations. And so that in everything that I do, I'm always leaning into how this can shift my energy, how it can support me. So when I'm doing dishes, I'll be singing or affirming, the things that I'm letting go of and the things that I'm attracting into my life. So I don't feel then that it's like wasted time, because it's actually time that's being used to powerfully raise my vibration, remind me to focus on the things that I want to attract into my life, and just know that I'm always moving forward, that I'm choosing not to be stuck, and I'm choosing, and I think this is a big thing, it's like choice, it's like what we choose. I'm choosing to make this task like work for me. So that's something that's actually been really powerful in helping me in my day-to-day and in dealing with some of the stuff that I kind of like, doesn't always light you up, but you can approach it in a different way. So I think that's powerful too. I'm curious too, Bill, because one of the things, I mean, I don't know if you have anything to add there, Bill, is anything you wanted to add to that, or but I
was just going to say, I mean, I think that's
go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I think that what you're saying is so powerful, because when you include affirmations and intent in the things that you're doing, it really does make a shift in you and the power of something as simple as washing dishes. So I think that's fantastic.
Yes. Yes, and know that we actually have that power within us, and we have that power to influence our environment. Because, I mean, who would have known that washing dishes could change my life, right? But it can. Obviously, it changes it because it's nicer not to have dirty dishes in the home, but it also helps me to remember, where I'm going, right? Because I'm doing it in an intentional way. And one of the things that I'd love for us to explore today, Bill, is just how our home can really powerfully support our spiritual self. Because many of the listeners, people that are listening to this podcast, know that this is something that's very dear to my heart. That I truly believe that the more we can kind of lean in to cultivate our connection to our spirit, to our source, to really tap into that part that is infinite and eternal, the more we can kind of be empowered in our work and step into the person that our spirit actually wants us to be. Because I think a lot of us have these big visions and dreams, and they seem so massive, like, how the heck am I going to do that? And it's only because our spirit knows we're infinite, immortal and eternal, and that we're meant for more. So our spirit is going to be pushing us to step into that, right? So I'd love if you could share with us, ways particularly like when, in our bedroom, because I believe that the dream time, there's a number of ways that we can connect with our spirit. Some people use tarot, some people, they look out for signs and synchronicities. I use all of those, but I also use the power of the dream time, because that's something that is a reflection of our inner world, right? It's like our dreams take place inside of us. So if there's no second guessing whether that robin was your mum or not your mum, or whatever the sign outside of you is, when it's inside of you, you can't really second guess that, because it's been directly downloaded to you in your dream. So I'd love maybe for us to kind of explore the ways that we can actually powerfully shift the energy in our room to support and expand our access to connecting with our spirit in the dream time. I don't know if you would be happy to kind of dive into that big juicy topic.
Absolutely, yes. It's definitely a big juicy topic. So when we think about our bedroom and we think about feng shui, it's really important to recognize that what is the purpose of our bedroom, right? So one of the things that our bedroom is there for us to do is this rest, relaxation, recuperation, right? It's this time where we are able to have a downtime. It's where we're able to just connect on kind of a deeper level to our own kind of needs and wants, because the bedroom is a very intimate space, right? It is the place in the home more than any other that not only is it connected to relationships, but also to our own ability to reintegrate the day. It allows us to kind of connect again with who we really are, which I think is what spirit is about, is just reconnecting with who we truly are, which is that source, right? So in order to do kind of and prepare your space for connecting with spirit, connecting with the dream time, there are a couple of things that you can do from a feng shui standpoint just on the outset, which is, how do you make sure that you are feeling comfortable, you're feeling safe, you're feeling secure in your space? And really one of those things is bed positioning, right? So when you think about the bed and you think about as you're lying in that bed, you want to make sure that you're able to see anyone who's coming into this space long before they can see you. It's just a base kind of sense of security and safety, so that you feel that as you're sleeping, there's not going to be any kind of energy that's coming up to you you're unaware of, right? And as you're lying in your bed. So that's one thing that is just a powerful way to position yourself in a place of power in your bedroom. And so if you're feeling empowered in your space, it allows you to feel more connected and more able to feel and create kind of a sacred space. And so another thing to be thinking about is, in your space, what is spirit to you? Right? If you first try to define for yourself, how do I connect with spirit just day to day, right? Are you someone who goes to church on a regular basis? Are you someone who prays on a regular basis? Are you someone who goes into nature to connect with spirit? Just make sure that you're clear on, well, how do I, and what is spirit to me, but how do I connect with spirit just on a regular basis? Because what you can do then is you can start to establish that as a basis for the energy in your space. And so one thing I would do is I would actually space clear my bedroom, and I would clear it so that it is aligned with the energy of what I want. And for those who may not be familiar with space clearing, while feng shui is directing the energy in the space, space clearing is actually shifting and changing that energy in your space. And so simply by shifting the energy in that space to align with the purpose of connecting on a more sacred and more on a deeper level to spirit, that will go a long way toward shifting and changing the energy of that space. And so just as an example, you could take a bell, for instance, and you could use that as a way in which to shift the energy of the space just by walking the space and ringing that bell and holding the intention that you are wanting to connect with spirit, you're wanting to create a sacred space. And space clearing is a whole nother topic that we can talk about another time. But that's one way in which you can shift the energy of your space. And as you're doing that too, as you're getting clear on your intention, one thing I'd recommend is creating an altar in your bedroom to help you to connect with spirit. And that can be a simple thing as a candle, and just lighting that candle on a daily basis just to, connect and refocus your intention and your affirmations. You can use it in that way. You can have statues of whatever kind of spiritual connections you have, whether it is, say, a Kuan Yin or a Buddha or, a Mary or a Christ, whatever you're connected with. Really, it's about how you connect with spirit. So you can use that and create that in your space so that you connect daily with that aspect of what you want to bring into your life. And so those are all really powerful ways that you can actually prepare this space. Now, if you want to use that then as a foundation for connecting with the dream time, because the dream time really is, for many, a way for spirit to speak to us. And so in allowing and setting that intention within your space, you're preparing yourself for a dream time that will allow you to just be more open to the messages, be more open to connecting and understanding the language of the dreams, right? So that's one of the things that is so powerful, is that the dreams that we have are all a different language, right? And they're a language unique to us and our own beliefs, because our subconscious, our spirit, our soul wants to be able to connect with us and resonate with us in a way that we get, right? In a way that is powerful for us individually. And so, making sure that you're able to set that intention, making sure you're able to prepare yourself for what's to come. And so one of the things that you can do, and you mentioned, some people use oracle cards or tarot cards, whatever they may be. So that's something that you could use as a tip for before you're going to bed. Put a card underneath your pillow and allow yourself to kind of focus on the meaning of that card and the question that you might have, and just slipping that under your pillow, and it's under your head, and it creates that energy, right? It creates that energy of what you're trying to attract, right? So again, intention is so powerful. So the other things that I recommend often to people who are trying to connect with spirit in their dream time is a dream journal. Just before you go to bed, write a question that you have for spirit. And then as soon as you wake up, even if it's in the middle of the night, just take a moment to just write the first things that come to your mind, because those are that's the conversation we're having, right? Or that's the messages that we're getting. And so the more we're able to do that and see kind of over time, what are the things that my higher self, that spirit, is trying to tell me? Because sometimes, we'll wake up and we'll write something down and we'll be like, well, what does it matter that I was having tea with my dogs? Right. So it's those things that don't necessarily have an immediate kind of resonance that we know what it means. But as we kind of continue to document and just kind of determine, right, so I see over the course of the past week, it started this way, and now I'm getting these kind of, the message is morphing so that it's more clear to me. So it's just an amazing way that you can allow yourself to connect with spirit in dream time. And in feng shui too, there are other ways in which you can adjust the space, right? So, there are colors that are much more conducive to getting you kind of in that grounded space that you can listen or connecting on a spiritual level. So for instance, in your bedroom, if you have kind of more the earth tones that really help to kind of ground you, and they're kind of soothing and very warming and comfortable. And then you could add in, say, some colors of blue, which are very, very, very much connected to kind of connecting with spirit, those blue colors, and even some purples, those sorts of things. So you can create a sanctuary within your bedroom that will allow you and specifically help you to connect with the dream time. For some, maybe it is creating a space that has a mural of the moon and stars on it that is just kind of a doorway for you into the dream time. For others, it may just be this sense of beauty and just walking through paradise, right? Yeah. So understand for you what spirit is and how you connect, and incorporate those into your space as well.
I love
so
that.
does that help give some clarity?
It's lovely. And you know what? I thank you so much, because there's some really good, awesome gems in there, for us to use. I know for me, now it's a daily or nightly practice for me where I'll ask a question, before I go to sleep. And I found that, it's good to write it down, and the more specific we are, the better. And this is what I love about it, because we can actually get really, really, really specific about the answer that we want. And that this is the beauty, I think, of the dream time, because, we're dreaming every night. Our spirit is actually trying to reach us nightly. It's like whether we're paying attention or not. And that's the power, I think, of once we make that decision that we're ready to begin that conversation and have an intentional dialogue with our spirit, that we can really tap into who we are, really, the infinite potential. Because before, I'd wake up and think, wow, that was a pretty crazy dream, and then I would just dismiss it, right? And yet in that crazy dream, spirit wanted to share something with me. It was what it thought I needed to know. Absolutely. I had no clue. But when I actually start to sort of set the agenda, it's like going into a meeting, and I go in with the agenda and say, well, this is what I want to know. Tell me how to do it. And that, to me too, is the real power of our ability to dial in, get connected, get the answers we want. It's just so empowering, really. And at times when I've been afraid to take an action, or because when we're stepping up, fear steps up too, right? It kind of cranks in there as well. The more I can lean in to my spirit and just get the guidance and tell me, keep going, you're on track, do this next, then do this. And then when I think that's the other thing, actually, taking action. When we take action on what's being shown to us. But like you say, Bill, I think our spirit's wildly creative, and so it speaks to us in metaphors. So there is like a process in which we can actually start to interpret those messages that are coming through. But I love that we've been talking about how we can enhance our dream space, how we can enhance our bedroom. I know when I'm not remembering my dreams, I just need to do a little bit of clutter clearing. Clear away those books, like multiple books at the side of the bed, right?
Absolutely.
Clean the windows. Fresh air too, Bill. Have you found too? I find that having access to just some fresh air coming in is also very helpful. I found that just refreshing for me, and connecting me to kind of the outside world. And using the power of the moon. I also put water out at the full moon, and I use that, drink that full moon energy, water that's charged with the full moon energy. So yeah, you know what? This has been amazing, Bill. I'm so grateful to you for coming, joining us today to share with us all of your wisdom and expertise, and especially how you were able to take what I feel sometimes seem very kind of complex, like feng shui, what's that? Like intuitive feng, you really broke it down in such a simple way. And in just such a short space of time, you gave us a really good kind of like map of what we need to do. And that's powerful. And I'm very, very grateful to you for that. And I hope, Bill, actually.
Well, thank you. This has been great. I love speaking. Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, it's something I think that we're both so passionate about, but you're the kind of go-to expert on this. And so I will actually, maybe, Bill, you could perhaps share your website where people can actually go find out more information about the work that you do. Could you share that with listeners, where they would go to connect with you?
Absolutely. Thank you. My website is fengshui-24.com. So www.fengshui-24.com. You can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook in that as well. Looking forward to hearing from you. If anyone has any questions about feng shui, I'm so happy to discuss and share and offer kind of what assistance I can.
That's awesome, Bill, because, I know how deeply passionate you are about this work. And like I say, I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to talk about this. I mean, there's so many other things we could talk about, and maybe, down the line, maybe you might be able to come back and join us and tell us all about the stuff we can do in our offices, because a lot of the listeners here are spiritual entrepreneurs. So there's things that we can do to kind of shift the energy there for us in our business. But
absolutely.
Yeah, but for now, I just want to thank you for being here with us, for sharing your wisdom and expertise. And thanks to all of our listeners to, tuning in and to being with us, and sending you all many, many blessings, much love. And bye for now. Should you be interested in diving further into your dreams to understand and interpret the messages from your spirit in the dream time, then simply head on over to my website, www.louise-wilson.com, where you'll find a wonderful resource of free training that will help you do just that.